Welcome to Sister Sessions, a podcast where two sisters on very different journeys explore what it means to live spiritually in today's world. My sister, Jenny Fairbank, is the co-founder and spiritual director of Wisdom Pathways, a yoga and meditation teacher, and a somatic healer devoted to guiding others toward inner peace. And I'm Susie Gustin, a mom of three, producer and owner of Red City Live Entertainment, embracing life's joys while searching for deeper meaning. Together, we have honest, relatable conversations about finding balance, purpose, and connection in everyday life. So settle in. You are exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Sister Sessions. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sister Sessions podcast, where we get divine and real. I'm Susie Gustin, and I am here with my sister and co-host, Jenny Fairbank.
Hello, sister. How are you?
I'm so great, Jenny. I'm excited about today's episode and also very, very, very curious. So I just have this little bit of something I want to start off with here to get our listeners into what the topic is. Today on Sister Sessions, we're diving into a topic that most people avoid, whisper about, or only bring up when something forces them to. Death. And in true sister fashion, this episode actually started with me laughing because for one of the rare times in history, Jenny came in excited to talk about a very specific topic, and that topic was death. So naturally, my first thought was, why, girl? And then I thought, what if the thing we spend our whole lives trying to not think about is the very thing that would wake us up? So with that, I will go right into it and say, why, girl? Why are we talking about death? What's going on?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love you. I love how you brought that in. And yes, well, this, full transparency this morning, I just been thinking about it. I think about death actually quite a lot. And not in any kind of morbid way or fear-based way at all, but just it helps me to stay present in the now of we don't know how long we have. We don't know how many breaths we have. And it is so, and what that brings to me is peace and presence and the idea of this ephemeral temporary experience and how I want to live it to its fullest. I want to love as deeply as I can love. I want to give as much as I can give, share as much as I can share, and spread joy and love as much as possible and live out my purpose here. I mean, we have a purpose. There's so much to say on this topic. I kind of I have like 1,000 thoughts around it. One of the things I think that sparked this for me now is that, and I may have shared with you listeners, that I have been very drawn to stories of near-death experiences for many years. I've read all the books, as many stories as I can get a hold of. I listen to podcasts on death experiences. And I hadn't listened for a little while. I kind of stopped. And then just last week, I had gotten the craving again, honestly, and started listening to a few more stories on a podcast that I really like. I believe it's called Near Death Experiences is the podcast. And what it does for me is puts me in that remembrance again of this is temporary. We actually don't die. That is not what happens. It's a transformation. It's a transition. Consciousness cannot die. Energy doesn't die. It transforms. Energy cannot die. It cannot be destroyed. And so we transform. So we're really, we can say, and we know in our culture, specifically in the United States, there is this taboo around it, right? Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody, don't bring that up. Oh my goodness. Like it's some curse or we're going to pretend like it's not going to happen to us. But that is not reality. And I think if we really did embrace death, and okay, we call it death, but really, the body does die. We shed this heavy physical form, and we actually become less dense. It's lighter. There are many people who talk about it as if like you're taking off a heavy overcoat or a tight shoe. Like, oh, wow, that's relief. I'm done with this density for a period of time. So it's actually the soul isn't afraid of death. It actually knows that, okay, here's the time to transition and it's time to go. So our culture avoids it, sterilizes it, medicalizes it because of the fear really of losing what we love. We're
Hmm.
afraid to lose what we love, and we're afraid of the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what emotion comes up when you think of death?
I wouldn't say an emotion comes up necessarily. What comes up when I think of death is actually no. Okay, what comes up for me is, oh, the people who are left behind. It's I never think of the person, the body who died, the body that dies, the soul. I never think, "Oh, poor soul." I think, "Good for them." Kind of happy for them, but I feel for those who are left, the loved ones that are missing the
Hmm.
person. And I
Hmm.
get that. I mean, grief is real. Grief and loss are real, and we need to honor that. But we should honor it in a way that is that is celebrating their life, celebrating all the good, celebrating what they've done in their life, whom they love, that kind of thing. And we talk about that a little bit more in our culture, right? Of kind of, we call it a celebration of life. Some people do those things. We need
Hmm.
more of that. We need
Hmm.
to celebrate the transition that this soul just has gone through, and
Hmm.
the evolution of the soul, because death is a part of our evolution, of that reincarnation of, okay, I'm ready to take on another lesson. I'm ready to take on another test. I want to have another human experience, or quite frankly, another species experience. We don't know all that we don't know anything. We are so primitive in our knowing about these things, but we're starting to become more aware. And it's all about that gradual expansion of awareness. So it's it we we're not this body. I mean, I could just go on a rant, so I want to
Right. So,
not
but let
do
me
that.
go. Let me pull you back because I want to talk about the large part of the population who doesn't have a belief system, who goes through daily life like this is my life, and when it's over, and I don't like spirituality, I don't have a religion, I'm here. I'm a realist, and I'm here, and I'm Susie, and when this body gives out, I'm done. And I have
Mhm.
no idea what's on the other side. So when I listen to Jenny Fairbank tell me about like death is a transition and we never really die, well, how does she know? She never died. Did she die? Does she know? So that challenge is real. And I think that the celebration of life is happening with people who are more like minded, like you. You know, we had a celebration of life for my father in law that passed away, and it was beautiful, beautiful celebration. Um, But there's a lot of society that doesn't, and death is just like, you will wear all black, you will mourn, and it is finalized, and we have no idea where they are. They're gone.
Mhm. And mourning is a part of the process, and where, that's all okay. What I would say to people who really are in that camp of nothing happens when you die, and quite frankly, nothing does happen when you die. Your consciousness leaves the body, and then you get
Mhm.
to go. You don't change. And
Mhm.
I know, and here's how I feel so strongly about this is really truly because of, first, inherently, I have always felt this way just within my soul. Like, I just know it. I can't really explain that. That's beyond an explanation. There's a knowing for me, and always has been, that death is not really what we think it is, that
Mhm.
there is more. And when we come to the experiences now of millions of people who have left their body and have had, in very clear, intense experiences
Mhm.
in their energy field, in their soul, with their soul, to me, it's absolute proof. And I'm
Yeah.
talking millions. There
Yeah.
isn't it is there are books and medical journals and doctors talking about this all the time. This isn't me making it up or just, "Oh, this is what I think." I'm coming from experiences of others, not my own. No, I have never had a death and return experience, but I have had some really intense experiences in meditations that, to me, prove to me that there is more.
Mhm.
And so, if you really wanna know more, anybody who's listening to this, I really recommend you listening to some of those stories. There's a book that has a compilation of all there's a I can't I'll have to think about find that doctor's name. There are many medical doctors who have done a lot of research on this because they had patients over and over again talk about their experiences, and they would want to, kind of debunk it and say, "Oh, that's not important," and, "Oh, no, you're just making that, it's just something that's happening in the brain." But we can't continue to say that anymore because of the research, because of the testimonies over and over and over again. So I can't say that that this is just a theory. I don't believe it. I believe it is absolutely fact. And I know that's difficult for people because if you can't see, touch, and feel things, then we tend to not wanna take them as truth.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I mean, gosh, it was a movie, and it was a child proving a point to an adult in a movie, and it said something on the lines, but like, have you ever seen $1 million in person? And have you ever actually seen $1 million? And they're like, no. And they're like, but you believe that it exists, right? Like, you don't have to see everything to know there's enough proof out there that $1 million exists. And even though you've never seen it in person, you know what I mean? Like, it was just
Mhm.
something like that. But yeah. Um, so do you think that our culture is unhealthy in our viewpoint of death?
I feel that our culture is choosing consciously to be ignorant about it because they don't wanna open up that box for some reason. And it's really unfortunate because I really feel that if we embraced it, then we would live differently. I know it.
Right. So I think one of the things that everyone is guilty of is not really necessarily, not that we know death is inevitable, but we really don't believe that any day is our last day. Like when people are just, you know, an average person is walking through their day, nobody's thinking about this is my last day. You think that, oh, that's when I'm old. So you don't think about it. It's out of your mind. And so there's almost this denial that we have that we're not going to death is not knocking on our door,
Mhm.
So there's this denial. And I think that you're right. If we really believed that we were not promised tomorrow, what would change? Would we love harder? What would we what would what would we stop postponing?
Yes.
You know? Like, do you have an answer to that? What would you
Mhm.
stop postponing if you knew your hours were limited?
Well, I personally, there would be nothing in this moment that I would postpone. Like, I feel like I live, uh I wanna say on the edge, but, like, not, like, in any kinda dramatic way. It's just I don't if I choose to wanna do something, I do it. If I feel drawn to something, I do it. I take risks in my life. I've taken a lot of risks in my life, and will only do what feels joyful to me because that's I just feel that is important for me personally. And I think we would waste less time being in fear of, "Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? I'm not gonna take a risk because."
Yes. If we didn't fear death, how would we live differently?
Right,
100%.
right.
And what are we afraid of?
Yeah, exactly. That's the illusion. Well, what if I lose money? What if I get hurt? What if and that's all contingent on the attachment to the body. It's the attachment to, I want everything to be easy. I want my life to go smoothly. I don't wanna take any risks because it's safer this way. That's fine if you wanna do that. There's nothing wrong with anything, honestly. We can choose to do however we want. This is our world, our life,
Yeah.
our game, right?
Yeah.
So there's no wrong answer here. I just wanna give people a little bit to think about here. What if you really did not fear death? What if you really did not fear it? What would you do differently? I think we would relax more. I think
Yeah.
we would love more deeply. I think we would take more risks. I think we would say, "Well, I really have always wanted to start this business, so I'm gonna do it anyway." What is the worst that happens? What if I lost all the money I had or whatever? What if I lost my house?
What if the worst thing that happens is that you die and death is not the end,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean,
What
we're
if?
talking about, yeah,
Mhm. When you realize you're eternal, you stop living like you're running out of time because time is an illusion.
yes,
So, if you don't
yes,
do it in this life, you'll do it in the next life.
so true. It's so true. It is a game changer when you think this way, and this for everyone listening, and like let's start like not thinking about death every day, but
No,
like what if the acceptance of death, period, not meaning that I accept death and I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be like, I accept death. But if you have that moment in your life and you just get there and you accept death, what if acceptance to death is our doorway to peace?
it
Because
is.
that's all we're looking for. Everyone
Yes,
is looking for a peaceful life, which peaceful life means a joyful life. And so, what if accepting death, what if that's the key to the doorway of peace? That's huge. Did we just unlock something? Metaphors all.
yes, it is. Well, here's the thing that's interesting is that first Jesus Christ says, oh, no, it wasn't Jesus, it was one of his apostles. One of his apostles said, "I die daily." Yogananda talked about this, and one of the quotes from him is around this: "Death is not the end. It is only a transition into another sphere of consciousness." And when we learn to die daily, and this is another part of what Yogananda talked about around dying daily, learn to die daily by withdrawing your consciousness from the body. Then death will hold no terror for you.
Right. And let's talk about that in not just terms of fearing our own death, but fearing the death of others. And knowing, and here's another like accepting death in all aspects for being a doorway to peace, because in knowing that that person that you love so much and it's final in terms of here on earth right now in this specific turn. Yes, it's final, but it's not final. If you're choosing the beliefs that we are talking about right now, it is not final. You will see them again. There's that, and for them it's going to feel like a blip in time. For you, it's going to feel longer if you have, years to go on your path here on earth. But like, just understanding that the love that you have for someone, if you allow the fear of them dying also to be accepted, knowing that it's not in our control. It's their path. They chose it. So they're doing their soul mission. So there's a peace in that, knowing that, oh, wait a minute, this is what they chose. So yes, I'm going to have my grief and my mourning period, but I'm also no choice for my own peace, but to accept their path that they chose. This is what they wanted. And they definitely don't want me to stay here in agony for too long.
That's a really important point, Susan, especially that you're saying it's what they wanted right there, because a lot of us as humans believe that nobody ever wants to die, that no one would choose to die. But we're missing the bigger picture because our souls have a contract. And from my understanding, we have implemented exit points throughout our an incarnation to say, okay, is it time to that's part of one of the like people have near death experiences. It's like it's an exit point that they can choose, like, okay, are you do you feel complete with this or you want to stay? Sometimes, because like as I've shared, I've read and listened to probably at least 100 of different stories at this point, maybe more, but they some people do have a very clear choice, and their spirit guide or whoever, they're not alone when they go over there. Usually a spirit guide of sorts that says, "Do you can go or you can stay. It's up to you." And clearly those who are reporting it, they decide to stay here, and they decide to come back here because they're not finished with their soul contract.
Mhm.
And I just one of the recent stories I just listened to last week, the lady was saying that, they gave her a choice. You can stay here or you can go back. But if you decide to stay here, you're going to need to start over again. Like, you're going to need to start the life over again to complete what you came here to complete. And she was like, no, 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 I'll go back. I know where I am right now. I know what I'm doing. I'm ready. I want to go back. So we have choice. Sometimes it is they throw you right back in because they know you're not done and you need to be here. And so your soul comes back into the body. But it is a choice.
Mhm.
We have, depending on the level of our awareness, our consciousness, depending on our evolution, we have choice.
Mhm. Yeah. And this is a very sensitive subject, so for any woman listening, I I empathize with this subject very much so. I did read that prior to me having a miscarriage, years before I had a miscarriage, I did read the idea that babies that miscarry are souls who changed their mind,
Yes.
who said this is we're off track. This is not the time.
Mhm.
And when I had my own miscarriage, very difficult thing to go through, it brought me a lot of peace thinking that, a lot of peace. And I even told that to my husband. I said, really believe that that soul wasn't ready and I'm okay with it. And I honor their path. And to this day, I believe it was a girl. To this day, I thank her for stepping onto her journey because I would have never had Zane because the timing was too fast. Zane could have never possibly, switched places with her in a sense. So I have gratitude, and our tree top for our angel for our Christmas tree is in honor of her. We believe that's her. We want to keep her in so much gratitude because for whatever journey she wanted to take, allowed us to have Zayn in this life. And so I don't know if that, might makes people feel uncomfortable or unhappy, but that belief really brought me through that experience in a very, very peaceful way.
Yes, it's so beautiful, and I agree with you 100% on that. We have choice, and in fact, I listened to a story a long while ago about a gentleman who remembered having that experience.
Ah,
He remembered choosing to incarnate, and he was in a holding space, which clearly was the womb, and he w became afraid, and he said, "I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. I want out. I want out." And he pulled out. And then he did some more work in the astral planes and the astral realms, and then was ready to come back in.
yeah.
It was a fascinating. I've never heard that from anyone else. It was only one experience I heard, but he was so, sincere and intense about it, and how what he experienced was so real. We don't know. We don't really understand the depths of all this. But one thing is certain in my reality is that we are continuous energy. Energy cannot be destroyed nor created. We are continuous, infinite, and we are shifting and changing all the time. And we're using this physical body, this gift that we've been given, a physical form that we, as a consciousness, could create based on our intelligence, our field, our awareness.
Yeah, and I think we're also using the physical body incorrectly in terms of aging, fear of aging, which is fear of death, right?
Yes.
Because the constant push to look younger and all of that stuff, it's like, well, I mean, if you're 75 and you look like you're 35, you're still 75. And good for you if you want to look 35. But my point is, it's not reversing your aging.
Yeah.
It's only reversing your physical shell. You got a new book cover, but the inside of the pages are still full of wisdom. Let's go. More wisdom than the book the book cover you just put on yourself. So you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. Like, I mean, like, it's just, I think that the aging thing is a fear of death. And that is brings me to if anybody knows, I don't have his name right now, which is so silly because I'm like the guest I want on Sister Sessions. If anybody knows how we can get a hold of the man who thinks he's gonna live forever and reverses his aging.
I don't know that
Can't think
guy.
of his name. But I just want to be like, why? I just want to talk. I want to get into it, and not like in an argument. I really want to get in his head. Like, why? Tell me why you want to live forever.
Mhm.
What are you gonna do on this earth forever?
Ugh, I can't even imagine. That would just be terrible. It's interesting because, one of the there's a story that Yogananda, when he was incarnated, that there was some guy in the vicinity or something that people were talking about who was in that kind of same place, Susie. And now this is in the 1920s and 30s. So, but he's like, I'm gonna live forever. And he was drinking, his focus was about carrot juice. And he was just drinking carrot juice because he thought that was gonna somehow help his longevity. And Yogananda said, "You can bathe in this stuff. When it's your time, it's your time. It
Yeah,
has nothing to do with how well you take care of yourself, what your body looks like, or blah blah
yeah.
blah." And he ended up this gentleman ended up dying from being run over by a car. Like, you don't you we are not in charge of that. We've
Yeah.
already we've already established that to a large degree.
Mhm.
I mean, we always have free will, and we can, destroy this physical form earlier if we want to. We
Mhm.
can, we have it, we can exit anytime we want to. We have that
Yeah.
kind of free will. But
And
that
it's sad
doesn't
when people are like, "Oh my gosh, like, oh, I'm gonna be 65." It's like, aren't you so happy you made it to 65? And are like, why are we not celebrating the next year of our life?
yeah,
Like,
so true.
where's the lack of gratitude? There's a lot of people that don't make it to 20.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
you're getting to experience, and yet we reverse aging. We try to live as long as we can, but yet as we keep getting older, we keep trying to like be sad about it. It's just nothing makes sense.
Yeah, and if we only knew what was over there, we would be so excited. Like, all the people that have had near-death experiences and come back, they're, first of all, 0 afraid of death, and they're actually like, "Wow, I'm looking forward to it when it's time. I'm ready. I'm here. I wanna live fully and do my stuff and love and all the things." They fully dive into life even more so,
Mhm.
and they're not afraid because they
Mhm.
know what's over there. They
Mhm.
know the light, the love, the purity, the beauty. And even that is temporary because then we come back to have more experiences.
Mhm.
So I'm glad you brought up the point about aging. It is so ridiculous to me.
Mhm.
What are we trying to do? It's like, let's polish and polish and polish this body we have that is not even ours. It's not even, it's just this temporary vessel we're using for a time. Then we pull out of this into our light body and we look at that body, which again, I've heard so many people say when they see their physical form, they're like, that's me? That's not me. Wait, but I'm right here. I'm still me, 100%. But that's not my body.
Yeah.
I then they catch it like, oh,
Yeah.
this is just temporary. So what are we doing? Making this so perfect for it just to dissolve at some point. Yes, take care of it. Yes, it's your temple. Love it, nurture it, feed it well, work it out, all those things.
Yeah, I mean,
But
we wanna feel
please
good
don't be
while we're
attached.
here. We wanna feel good while we're here,
Of
you know?
course.
Like, yeah, you wanna be in optimal health, wellness while we're here, because that's the same thing as also, like, if you say, "I wanna be 103," well, be specific. I wanna be 103 and able to take care of myself. Like, nobody wants to be 103, can't stand up straight, having can't use the bathroom, all these problems, can't mentally so, I want to live a healthy, well life.
So great.
I'm not trying to like, you know what I'm trying to say here.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the quality of life is important. And that that also goes to, I think we need to talk about the idea of ending our lives on our own. Especially this is difficult whenever we are in a place where we can't function ourselves.
Yeah.
It's difficult. I know people who have a plan, who wanna have a plan to, I'm not, my children aren't taking care of me. I'm not doing, if I'm not being in the bed and not being able to function, like, I want out, I wanna find a way. And there are cultures and who honor that and take care of that. When I just sharing my personal feeling around that, and from the path of spirituality the lineage that I'm connected with, even when we are, say, incapacitated or we're not able to function well and we're still here, there's a reason. There's a deeper reason that you don't know.
Hmm.
You don't know that what you're doing for someone else by them taking care of you or many
Yeah.
other ways, right? There's karmic ties all throughout our existence with other
Hmm.
souls
Hmm.
and lessons, specific lessons that we can come here to experience and to learn.
Hmm.
And through the death process, even through the aging process, through the challenges of the body, you can be learning and growing and helping others do the same for whatever their karma is with you and their experiences that they need to have. And so it's really about trusting that you are here in this moment, in this life, for as many breaths as you are supposed to be. And to cut that off too soon, to me and to the path that I follow, is detrimental to your growth because there's something that you said, I don't, you cut it too short. Even if it is only a very short period of time, there's some reason for you to be here.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
trusting that versus you taking it upon yourself to make that choice. If you feel that you want to get out of this life, come and talk to me. Come and talk to somebody. You need support, you need help, you need to understand, you need clarity. It it doesn't work is the thing. And that's what you realize as soon as you leave, like, "Oh, I'm still me. I still have this. I still have work to do. I need to go back and start all over because I didn't do what I came here to do." When you're ready, come back and start all over because we are evolving. We're here. We come down to this dense energy field, this really dense, tight energy to it's like it's like going to the gym. And if you just are always using 10-pound weights for years, do you get stronger? No. You add you plateau and you're okay, I'm not really growing. Okay, I'm not getting maybe weaker because I'm still doing this 10 pounds, but I'm not really getting stronger. So we push, we make it, we have to put pressure on ourselves, literally. Like that's what stress is, like pressure. So when okay, I'm going to force myself to lift 20 pounds, man, is it hard, but look how much more growth I've gotten. So when we come into this density, we are forcing ourselves to grow. And it's like going to a gym and then we come out for, we go to a gym for a period of time, say a year or so, and we're like, wow, I look better. I feel fit. I'm fitter. I'm stronger. I can do more things. When we leave this density and we're in the astral realms, we are stronger. There was an example that somebody shared actually in one of these stories that when you're in that realm, like the other souls can see like, oh, you must have just gone to the material plane. Like you are brighter, light. There's like difference in you
Mhm.
because you have just done some deep work. It's a school. These realms are schools, these material planes.
Yeah,
I
because
know. I'm sorry, I go deep into this, I can't help it.
no, I'm glad because this was something that it's kind of tying into something that I want to talk about also,
Mhm.
and you're tying it together. So, we talk a lot about, I listen a lot to what you say. I listen to other podcasts, reading books, all the stuff. And there is a lot of talk about, you know, karma and things that we came here to learn and, you know, going through situations, painful situations, and all of that stuff. And sometimes we came here and we choose these situations to learn something. Well, I'm just going to like really be blunt. Listening to the teachings of Abraham Hicks, and if you are listening and you haven't listened to the teachings of Abraham Hicks, I'm sorry, but you can always catch up. But I'm going to go there right now. And it is constantly, it's very repetitive on purpose because she's like, this is it. And I will drill this to you all the time. But we came here for joy. We came here for joy. And our job is to find the joy that we were given this gift to be on this earth with all of the trees and the animals and all the beautiful things and and how awesome it is to, you know, to be able to hug someone physically in this on this earth. We can physically hug and feel what that feels like and all the wonderful things. And when you're going through the hard stuff, your job is to find the joy. So sometimes I feel like when I listen to other things, it's like, well, you're here to handle this hard lesson. It is what it is. Deal with it. And there's a lesson we learn. You'll find out on the other side. Well, I don't like that. And also, like she drills that no, and goes through the emotions that I talked to you about. Like if you're depressed and you find anger, you're jumping up the ladder. Now stay in anger and get out of anger and go to the next best feeling. It's always talking about the next best feeling. Find the next best feeling, you know? And so I really appreciate and enjoy that joyful ideology of that's what we're here for.
Yes. And when you're looking at grief, loss, death, when we're looking at that, it is honoring the grief, honoring the loss is vital. Going into, the death grief is important because what we are missing is that physical form, right? Grief is love that has nowhere to go in the physical realm. Like, I can't hold you anymore. I can't see you. I can't touch you. It is it is devastating to the human form, the human life. However, when you keep your perspective in the broader sense, then you can find that joy underneath of it of, wow, they're free. They're not suffering anymore. They're they're in a different place where they can actually help us even more, help me even more to live my purpose because they have more so we can look at it in many different ways. And they're even more connected to you because they're not condensed in a physical form. They're expanded beyond that. And so they're more available for you even.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see them? No. Can you hear them? Probably not. But you can feel their essence.
Mm-hmm.
Our essence never dies. And you can communicate with them and they can hear you is the thing. I mean, it's there's so much more happening. It's beyond our mind's understanding, and it will always in this density it will be, at least for our lifetimes for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a part of our evolution. And so why do we even die? Why don't we just live forever and get it all done in one fell swoop?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
That's
yeah,
not
and it is accepting death is definitely the doorway to peace, because I feel like that's the only thing that causes people fear.
big one.
Fear of losing someone they love, like when your
Mhm.
child walks out the door when they got their driver's license, when your husband is a firefighter and he goes off to work or to the armed services. And what is the one thing you're thinking? Let's be honest, you're not thinking it, but that's what it is. That's what your fear is. When someone you love is having a major surgery, like, it's always that fear. And if we were able to allow that fear to subside and accept, which is interesting because death has always been and it is guaranteed. So you would think that we would have, maybe there just isn't enough correct language around what's next. The fear of the unknown is just what's constantly been. Okay, what would you change in our culture? What would you change if you had to teach? Okay, we're going to teach you about death, Jenny 101 here. And people needed to learn about death for the first time ever. What would you change? What would you do differently? Would you have funeral homes where people were laid to rest in
Oh,
front of you?
no.
Would you?
Well,
Okay.
no, I would have a celebrate I mean, it would be a celebration. It would be grief at the center, though. Grief in terms of those who are the closest to that person who passed, who left. So what I love is there are certain cultures who gather around, physically around somebody. Like, you put them in the center and say it's someone who passed and then they have a spouse and children. All of them get in the center and then the community gathers around them and they sing and they cry and they let them wail and act out in however they want, and they're there to support, to hold the space, to grieve with them, to talk about it, to talk about whatever they want to talk about. Give the person or persons who have lost their loved one time and space to go into it, to grieve it, to not just say, "Oh, sorry for your loss." That just to me is platitudes that don't mean anything. What do you need? How can I support you? Come over and let's just cry. Let's hug. Let's wail it out. What do you miss about that person? Go into that. And then when you allow yourself to fully dive into the grief 100%, it starts to slowly settle down. It starts to dissipate. It starts to you start to feel exhausted by it, like, okay, wow, I just let out a whole bunch. You know how it feels after you cry? We feel relieved. We feel tired, but we feel relief.
What about the idea of accepting someone's death is dishonoring them?
Yes, it is. When you don't accept their death, it is dishonoring them because you're not honoring their plan. You're not honoring the greater purpose of their life and that their evolution in this lifetime has come to a completion. So that's a celebration. Wow, you did it. You got through. You finished the journey of this life. You got what you needed out of it, or else you would still be here if you didn't. Nothing is an accident. And so if we allowed the grief, and then once that settled, then we came into a celebration and we brought in the joy of this person's life, all that they've done in their life, how many people they've touched, because really all that matters is how much of you loved. There's one of the greatest stories, Richard Wurmbrand. The book he wrote is called Tortured by Christ. Pretty heavy book
Very
name.
heavy title.
Title. Yeah, because he was arrested and tortured, and he was a Christian, and he was tortured because he was a Christian. But the story that he talks of, because he had a near-death experience, and he would go around and give talks all around, and mostly a lot to churches, I believe. But, he said that he actually saw Jesus when he was young. He was in his 20s when he had this experience. And he didn't have a great life. He wasn't a very good kid. He had a really struggle, and he was seeing his life review, and he was like, and he was trying, he says he was trying to hide it from Jesus, some of the things that he didn't want Jesus to see, which is hilarious. And and all Jesus said to him was, "How much have you loved?" And he realized, like, well, not very much, but I didn't have a lot of time. Look, I was only, I'm only young. I don't, how much have you loved? That's all that matters. Because you are going to be able to see and feel the effects of your actions to others.
Mhm.
You will see it and feel it. And there was a story I listened to last week, this woman who was having her life review, and she said one of the things that stood out to her so much, because you could see all the good that you've done and some of the effects that were difficult. And she said, I have a younger sister. And when we were young, we used to fight a whole lot. And she was like maybe 4 or 5 years older than her sister, her younger sister. And she said, and one, we were having this argument, and I said something mean to her, like, kind of like I didn't want to fight anymore. And I kind of threw her some dagger, and she didn't say anything. And she just walked out of the room. She said, and I didn't know at the time. That's all, she said, but in my life review, I see this. And my sister goes back into her room, and she's crying, and she's so sad. And she's like, it tore me apart. She said, and I could cry thinking about it. Like, we don't realize how we affect everyone. And it doesn't, not only our words, but also even our thoughts. If you think of someone, you're driving down the road and you see somebody walking and you judge them, you criticize them in your mind, that affects them. The energy
Oh,
and touches them.
oh, yes. Just thinking about that and like people that you don't know. So it's so true. And in watching what you say, what you say, and also what you don't say that you could have said. Like we were in Los Angeles, Reed and I, visiting, and we were staying in a very well to do neighborhood. And one morning we woke up, we took a walk together. We stopped at a market, and it was in the morning. And there was this Asian woman who was working the counter. And it's just as we were finishing, I just looked at her and I was like, "You are so pretty." Like her face, she had the biggest smile on her face. It was early in the morning. It just made me feel so good when she looked at me. All I saw was the beauty of her. She just smiled at me with such loving, you could just see like that was just something special. And we walked out of the store and we stopped for a minute for whatever reason. And she came out of the store and I thought I forgot something. And she said, "I just want to say to you that I'm 50 years old and no one has ever told me I was pretty in my entire life. you're the first person. And she had tears. Her whole life. And she was just a glowing soul. And her whole life, nobody told her that. So I'm just saying, if you think it, say it to someone because you never know what that's going to do.
If
And
it's
I was so
kind.
grateful that I didn't even have time to think. Like her body she just glowed and made me feel such joy. And I was just like, I couldn't help but not say it. The beauty that was coming from her. Never in her life.
And I'm so glad she ran out and told you that because, you know, y often people don't run out and tell us, and
Yeah.
they don't realize we don't realize how it affects them, and then how it affects the other people that they are talking to or working with or
Mhm.
their family. Like, it's a ripple effect.
Mhm.
Your words, your thoughts, your actions, your everything matters. It all affects the one. We are one energy.
Mhm.
That is the most important thing we need to know. We are
Mhm.
one energy, and
Yeah.
if you hurt someone else, you're hurting yourself, and you're
Yes.
hurting your loved ones, and I'm crying because it's so important.
Yeah. No, yes, it's beautiful, Jennifer. It's true. It is very, very, very true. And it's almost like you wish that those that you hurt would come to you instead of shutting the door and say, "You hurt me. You are
Yeah.
hurting me," you know? And that's just not how it is, you
I
know?
just wanna say, if I have ever hurt you, I'm sorry.
Oh my God, never. Oh, what? Never in a bill. Are you kidding? You're not even capable of it. Not even capable of it. Not
I
ever
just
in a
if I
million
hurt
years.
anybody, I'm so never meant to hurt anybody ever, ever, ever.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. 100%. Yes. And, we go through life and gosh, and that's one of the things that, for those that are older than me, I'm going to be 49 in a couple of days. Let's go. So for anyone that's older than me, I can imagine what you're thinking about my age. And for me, looking back at someone that's 20, You know, like I promise you, if you look at life the correct way, you will embrace and grow and look at your life every year that you get older and go, gosh, this is wonderful. And so I can imagine like if you talk to Oprah will be like, my 60s were my favorite. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like she is in her 60s. I read this quote today and I saved it because I wanted to share it because I love it. And it says, how much good can one life contain? As much good as you are capable of noticing. And I just think that that is just part of this whole thing, like every day noticing the good and no matter how bad things are. And maybe that's what Abraham Hicks is saying. Like there's going to be bad, but you find the joy. Find the joy. Dig deep. Find the lesson. And I'm sure behind the lesson there's the joy. Is that what it is?
Yes, behind the lesson is the joy, and it might not it might be difficult to find it, but it's there. And joy
Mhm.
lives within you, peace lives within you. And this going back to like the I die daily
Yes.
quote, because what that is saying is that you going inward in stillness, going back to meditation, that is what we're doing in meditation. We're practicing detaching from the body and this density to remember that we are spirit, that we are eternal. That's what meditation is really helping us to do, is to practice dying. Really, is to practice detaching. Like, okay, I'm ready. It's time to leave the body. I'm not attached to it. This just the thing. I'm not attached. And I know the attachment to other souls is really intense, but we are always connected to those souls. It's the illusion that we're separated. It's the illusion that that soul is, or that body, that human is gone. No, the soul is with you always. It's just changes, and so we do need to grieve the loss of the human form and the human connection in this now life.
Yeah.
You will no longer be, my whatever you are to me anymore. In this life is over, and it has come to a close. Jesus, Yogananda, these great souls, they grieved when they lost someone. They're like, oh, well, no longer will we ever have this experience again. Oh, that's sad. But they know beyond that, and they're like, okay, and now you move on, and we're free, and I'm happy, and I'll see you again.
Yes, but also I don't feel like we didn't talk too much about the idea that maybe we did. It's a dishonor to not accept someone's death, no matter the circumstance, no matter what the age,
No
and
matter
to
the
a point. Yes, no
Yes.
matter the circumstance. Obviously, we talked about grieving it's very important, and it's
Mhm,
natural, and
mhm.
it is love that you lost love and all of that. However, then finding the trust, that's my word of the year. I think that might be my word forever. I'm
Trust.
I'm serious. I think it might be because it is really constantly comes back to me and I'm like, "Wait, it makes me feel better." I'm like, "Trust, trust."
I
Okay.
love it. Mine is
Trust.
expansion. Expansion,
I didn't
expansion.
get that from you yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Expansion.
that's good.
Mm.
Yeah,
In
I'm
all
still
ways.
on trust.
Yeah. Oh, trust is amazing. That's great. I think it's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I hope that we have really given some thought for people to ponder on, some ideas that maybe they didn't think of it in this way. And maybe this will bring, the whole idea that accepting death is our doorway to peace.
I love it. It is.
It's pretty big.
It's huge. Imagine accepting it, not being afraid of it, knowing that when we lose, because we're really more afraid of losing others than we are of losing ourselves, because we know we're not going to lose ourselves deep down. We know it. Deep down, I think we know it. Um, is knowing that they're always going to be with us in some level, and that you absolutely will see them again. It's it's so freeing.
Hmm.
And I know we don't like to feel sadness. We don't like to feel loss. That's unfortunately a part of this, because as a lot of saints say, it's you when we're born in a new body as a baby, we celebrate in this realm. On the other side, they lose that soul. That soul's gone, to have a different experience. And so they feel the loss on that side. And then when we die, so we say, when we leave this physical form, we grieve on this side and they celebrate on the other side. So what's going on here? You know, it's just transition.
Yeah.
And we need to honor all of it. We need to honor the grief. We need to honor the joy. We need to honor the life. We need to understand that energy doesn't die. We need to understand that we have chosen to come here for a temporary time for a reason. Our soul would never want to be here forever. Never. This is not the end all be all. They
And
talk
like, I
about the
can't
astral
even
realm.
imagine what a day would. I feel like I would do nothing. If I knew I was going to be here forever, I'd be like, who gives a shit? I'm going to do anything.
That's true
I mean,
also,
I'm
right?
going to be
Like
here forever.
there's no
I have infinity. I'll go to the beach in 100 years. I'll see
uh-huh.
it. I'll see it 100 times because there's never an end.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'll live here for 100 years, and then I'll live there for 100 years. I'll live in Italy for 100 years. I'll be a doctor for 30 years, and then I'll be a nurse, and then I'll be a teacher. And it would
But
be
here's
so weird.
Yeah. Yeah. But here's what it is. We actually do live eternally, and we do come back and have these different experiences. We're like, "Oh, I still want to try this out. I still want to, oh, let me do this. Let me do that." We have that option. We are in that space, which is actually so exciting. Okay, next life I'll be a doctor. Next life I'll have 5 kids or whatever. You get to do that. But then at some point, as this says in the Bhagavad Gita, the ancient text of spirituality, of the truth, says at some point the anguishing monotony sets in and you are looking somewhere else. You stop looking and searching for it out here, and then you turn your attention inward and you're like, I'm done with this. I don't need to have any more experiences. I'm done with all the things. And that could take millions, and probably does take millions of lifetimes to get to
Well, I
that
mean,
place.
even in a small sense of I mean, our lifespan here is, it's short in the sense of everything, right? But I mean, I think that we even go through that on this planet of there's certain things that we've shut out in our life. Like, I am done with that. I am not doing that anymore. This doesn't serve me well. I mean, we do it in this tiny space.
Yeah. And Yogananda says that when you are not attracted to anything anymore, like, oh, I don't want to be rich and famous, it's because you've already done it. Your soul's like, done. Oh, I already know that. You're not attracted to wanting to be, I don't know, a billionaire or a CEO or whatever, because your soul's already experienced it and you're not drawn to it anymore. We are here to fulfill all of our desires and our joy. We're here for education and experience.
Hmm.
And it's an ongoing thing. So let's relax, everybody. And let's not be afraid of dying. Let's not fear it. Let's not think that you're never going to be with your loved one again. That's not true. Will you be with your loved one in this exact experience? No, you won't. And so, yes, there's grief, and you need to honor that, and you need to feel that. But do not hold that other person, that other soul back by clinging to them, because that is not good for their soul either. Because if you've lost somebody and you cannot get over it, you cannot stop grieving, you are tethering yourself to that soul, and that soul needs to continue to move on, needs to do its work.
And aren't you also freezing your own soul growth in a sense? Like, how are you growing if you can't let go and you're so stuck on this? Then there's no room for growth.
Absolutely. The attachment is so strong that it's pulling you down. It's literally energetically weighing you down. And then you're stunted. Yeah. I love talking about this because I don't want it to be taboo. I don't want it to be, ooh, hush hush. We shouldn't talk about death. That's not okay. No. No, no. Let's embrace it and realize that it isn't even true. We don't even die. We transition. This physical body, well, yeah, sure, but it's not who you are. It's all about detaching.
Yeah. Wow. Great.
Yeah, so I'm glad we talked about this a little bit. I'd actually like to talk about it more because I think it's important. And, I understand the fear is real and it doesn't have to stay in you. You can work with it. I highly recommend to listen to some of the near death stories because
Mhm.
they really help. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we had this conversation. When you first told me, I was like, what? Huh? What? Oh, great. This is going to be fun. What should I wear? The funeral episode. But I get it now. And it's really good.
Do what brings you joy and know that when you live in joy, life changes. The
Yeah.
external, because we are a product. Our external environment is a product of our internal experience.
Yeah.
So we have choice. Uh, mm, yeah, we're so powerful.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant you and I. I was going to say, we are kind of fierce.
Well, you and I, but
We're so powerful. I was like, damn, yes, we are. It just put it out there.
yeah, you are, we are, you are, I am, everyone is. Everyone is equal
Yeah.
in
Well,
their
speaking of
power.
putting it out there, I want to put out there to everyone listening, if you have an idea of someone that you would like to see us talk to on Sister Sessions, shoot us an email. redcitylive@gmail.com. Red, the color, R-E-D, city, C-I-T-Y, live, L-I-V-E @gmail. Shoot us an email and throw out the names, and you can have them reach directly to us, or we can reach out to them. And if you don't know them, we'll find them. I mean, don't get crazy, but it is 2026. We'll find that email address. No, really, let us know if there's somebody you think that would be fun to listen to us talk to. Let us know. And thanks for listening. As always, we love you. We're grateful for you. Like, subscribe, and follow, and share us with your friends. What do you got, Jenny?
Don't be afraid. Life is eternal. You are eternal. We are one. All is well.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Sister Sessions podcast. If you found inspiration in today's conversation, we'd love it if you shared the episode with your besties, family, or even your favorite neighbors. We'll be back next time with more to share, but until then, remember, meditation is the key to unlocking your inner peace. All is well, friends. See you soon.